Hi, and welcome back to the Programming in Ninox training series. In this class, we're going to talk about global functions. Now, if you refer back to the very first video in this series, class 100, we talked about the levels at which Ninox code can exist. At the highest level was the application. Application level code is code or functions that can be accessed from anywhere, any table, any field inside the application. Up until now in all of our classes, we have focused on table level and field level and formula level code. In this class, we're going to talk about global or application level functions, global functions. Before we do that, let's make sure we all understand what a function is. I'm going to go ahead into our vendor database, and here we have a very simple field. It's a text field that contains the name of the vendor. I'm going to go ahead and delete this name and then put it back in. Now I'm going to put it in mixed upper and lower case, but when I hit the enter button, it automatically converts to all uppercase. That is the result of a function. A function is anything that transforms or manipulates content in our application. In this case, we type in the vendor name, we store that value in X, and then we apply the function upper to X, meaning take whatever was there and make all the characters uppercase. Upper is the function, X is the parameter. A function is what happens. The parameter is what it's happening to. Global functions allow us to define processes or transformations and reuse them over and over and over again. Let me give you an example. Here we have 3 phone number fields. Now, phone numbers are usually formatted according to a national standard. So I'm going to type in 3 characters, 3 characters, and 4 characters, and when I hit enter, they're going to be transformed into a US standard. I have created a function that allows me to transform a series of 10 numeric characters into a phone number formatted according to the US standard. I call that function phone number deluxe. This is what's happening. This is the transformation, and this is the parameter that it's happening to. The nice thing about global functions is they are reusable. So I not only can use this same block of code to transform the main phone number, but I can do it for the sales phone number and the service phone number. I can create one block of code at the application level and call that block of code from anywhere in my database. When you want to create a global function, we go to the application desktop. When you are in administrative mode at the application desktop, go under the options menu and select global functions. And here we see the global function phone number deluxe. When creating a global function, the first thing that you need to remember is that you always begin with the keyword function, all lowercase, and you always end with the keyword end. You can have as many global functions as you want in any single application. If I were to put in a second global function, I would simply put in a semicolon, and the next global function, again, the keyword function, and the name of the function indicating this is a new global process. When building a function, it's important to give it a unique name and define the incoming parameters. It's also important to remember that the name you give the function and the case of the name must be identical here where you define it and anywhere else in the application where you call it. In this case, phone number deluxe is lowercase p, uppercase N, uppercase D. There is one parameter and that is the parameter that when received will be called x value. And unlike parameters or variables created using the let statement, you are required to declare what type of variable each parameter is. The declaration is a colon followed by a declaration of text, date, numeric, or Boolean. We'll talk about other declaration types later in our training series. So in this case, I'm creating a custom function. I'm naming it phone number deluxe. It will receive one parameter into a variable called x value, and that parameter will be text. And here's what I want this function to do. I want it to, first of all, go through all of the individual characters that were passed into the parameter x value and make sure they're all digits. We then take that single string of number-only characters, a variable called text string, and we break it up into three segments. The first segment, or substring, consists of the first three characters. The second segment is the second three characters, starting at position 3, and the third and final segment is the last 4 characters. We then take each of these segments, which have been stored in the xseg variable that we created here, and we concatenate them into a single string. The last line of any function is what will come back to the point where the function was called. So we put in the input parameter x value, and we get out a single string of numeric characters formatted in the standard of a North American phone number. What do I mean put in and get out? Well, here's our global function. Let's now see how we call that function. Let's go back to the vendor form and look at the field where we call the global function. We'll start with the main phone number. And here we are in trigger after update. And here is our call to the phone number deluxe function. And here is the parameter. And remember, this is a text value that we send over to this function to get transformed. So we have a phone number field here. We call the custom function, and we pass the parameter. The process is the same for every field. That's a global function that we've not only reused 3 times in this table, but in every instance of our database where there's a phone number. If we have 100 phone number fields in our application, instead of having to repeat the same 12 lines of code over again, giving us 1,200 lines of code, we can make 100 calls to this one block of code. The global function is a perfect tool when you want to create your own transformative block of code or calculatory block of code and reuse it over and over again throughout any table, field, or formula anywhere in your application. In the next class, we're going to continue our conversation of global objects and talk about global variables. I'll see you in class. Visit us at www.nioxis.com. Here, you can learn about different Ninox solutions. You can get tech support through our Ninox help desk, which is available 7 days a week, or you can schedule private one-on-one concierge sessions for training, or we can help you build your application. And if you haven't done so already, sign up for our free Ninox Learning Lab. We do this every Thursday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, 5 p.m. in the UK, 6 p.m. Central European Time. These free hour-long sessions enable you to learn more about Ninox, features, functions, and solutions. We have open Q&A where you can get answers to all your Ninox questions. and you can meet other members of the global Ninox community. We look forward to seeing you there.